Hello there! Welcome back to Charles Circle, and welcome back to Captain of Industry. Last time, we completed an ambitious project to double the production of our Electronics 2 factory. That ambition was born of impatience for waiting for construction parts 4 to accumulate, given that Electronics 2 was our bottleneck in that supply chain. The good news is that we are now swimming in Electronics 2. We have plenty. The bad news is that in our impatience, we totally overextended our base to make that happen. We fought rolling power blackouts the entire time, exacerbated by a very poorly timed transition off of our starter coal mine. Undeterred, however, we simply took some massive loans on steel and coal and powered through it. Today, however, that bill is due. There really is nothing as vexing as the consequences of your own actions. What I'd really love to be doing right now is building a nuclear power plant. Given how much we've struggled on power lately, not to mention the amount of coal it would save us, I think it's pretty clearly the next big project we need to break ground on. But we are in absolutely no shape to pull that off right now. So, today's plan is to slow down, take a deep breath, and get our ducks in a row so that we can tackle nuclear next episode. We'll play on speed 1 the entire time, which, as I've done before, I'm saying out loud to commit to, so please keep me honest in the comments. And we'll let the game come to us while we stabilize the base and prepare to hit the ground running on nuclear the next session. Finally, before we dive in, this is episode 30, which feels like a good milestone to share a couple quick words of gratitude. I don't know exactly what reception I was expecting when I started making these videos. Really, I don't think I was expecting anything at all. But all the kind and supportive comments you've posted, and the fact that some of you have watched 40 plus hours of me riffing my way through this game really blows me away. Some fun facts, according to the analytics that YouTube shows me, that also blow me away are that we've been translated into Hungarian, French, Czech, Portuguese, Norwegian, Italian, Japanese, and Dutch, among others. In addition to that, there are folks tuning in from as far away as Australia and Malaysia, far away from where I am at least. And if you told me that our top 3 countries of viewership were the US, Canada, and the UK, well, I'd have bought that. But if you told me that number 4 would be Romania, that is so cool. I see you, Romania, and I appreciate you. Mulțumesc. To think that our little corner of the internet is bringing people together scattered so far across the globe, it's an incredible feeling. It's incredibly motivating, and I'm incredibly appreciative of each and every one of you. So, thank you, merci, gracias, grazie, arigato, dankeschön. Thank you all for being a part of this, and apologies to anyone whose native tongue I just butchered. All right, enough soul-bearing, it's time to get to work. Our to-do list today, in roughly descending order of priority, is as follows. 1. Fix our truck network. It is a huge problem right now, and it's causing cascading issues downstream of that. 2. Charge up our construction parts buffer. Building a nuclear power plant will take a whole bunch of advanced construction parts, and we want to make sure that we don't have to wait for that when we dive into that build next time. 3. Source some uranium. It's kind of the key input for a nuclear power plant, and it would be nice if we could, while we're getting our ducks in a row here, manage to figure out where we're going to get that from as well. And then 4, if we have any time in between those tasks and whatever else comes up, because I think we've caused some troubles around our base, we'll fill that time with a little bit of detailing and a little bit of TLC for the base in general. Certainly we want to continue paving. The good news, we have quite a bit of concrete slabs built up. We just need the truck network to be able to handle that. I'd also like to tidy up and maybe relocate some of our supporting infrastructure, pipes, belts, maybe even some train tracks along the way. We'll also need to do a bit of map exploration. We have a few mine and cargo ships that we could repair along the way, some villages yet to discover, some village reputations yet to increase. If we finally get to a place where our truck network can handle supporting it, it would be nice to get a little bit of terraforming done as well. This whole area needs filled in after the coal's finally scraped out the last little bits, and I wouldn't mind chipping away at this limestone mine as well. But let's see, that's probably ambitious. So let's dive into the truck network. Why are we starting here, other than the big red notification? Well, it's causing some pretty serious problems around our base. This is a problem because we rely on our truck network to export some pretty critical waste products at the end of some pretty critical supply chains. For example, the inability to remove sulfur from this system is backing up the entirety of our steel production by way of the exhaust. That's a huge problem because we need lots of steel at baseline, and we have a little bit of a debt that we need to pay down that we are clearly delinquent on based on the latest transactions. We're also backing up places like our recycling because we can't remove the iron scrap and send it across town, or the copper scrap and send it across town. That's not vital, but it is quite wasteful. We're also missing out on things like the unity that come from providing medical supplies because steel is a key input there, as well as a number of these other unity providing resources that we want to keep supplying to our people. Not to mention, we can't make use of the electronics too that we spent the last 2 episodes piling up if we can't transport it across town. So that's where we're going to start. Where are we going to start on the solution side? Well, this is pretty dumb. We are going to remove trucks, all trucks, from all non-vital mining operations. This coal mine is no longer vital because our transition under fire, so to speak, was at least successful. We have plenty of coal up here being transported in a big old train. So we're gonna be fine on coal. This mine and the coal in it is just about setting up this space for use again in the longer term, which makes it essentially a terraforming project, even though there's still some resource left in the mine. As a result, we cannot justify allocating trucks to a terraforming project there or here, even though it means leaving quite a few constructors idle for the time being. We simply have to stabilize the truck network before anything else. The other thing we can do is build more trucks, and we are doing that. However, steel, cascading issue, right? So we're going to keep an eye on this, and if we can't provide enough steel to produce these trucks, at least so that we get up to the vehicle cap, we might have to take another loan just to get out of that catch-22. Let's see, I'd rather not. The other thing we can try is a little bit of Unity shenanigans to empty these storages out. So, one of the things you can do is just quick remove 7 Unity, really pretty doable for us, not as a long-term strategy, but as a quick fix now. This will send all of these resources out to the nearest storage or the shipyard, if necessary. This is a little cheesy. I don't want to do too much of this, right? But I also don't want to waste this sulfur. So what I'm thinking is, maybe we'll build, quick build even, a nice little temporary loose storage somewhere around here that will accept sulfur by truck as a bit of a storage buffer. Let's build it, let's unpause, and then let's try quick removing. We are going to get this alert for quite some time, and frankly, probably that one. The other issue here is going to be that these are stuck. So I'm going to quickly unload these manually. Quite a few of them overlapping there visually, but very good. Hopefully that helps out a little bit there. We are also going to probably have to leave research, still for the time being, unfortunately, because that requires steel and electronics too. Electronics too we have, but I think we can't really justify burning more steel while we are in debt, and there's no key tech we need to unlock because we already have what we need for nuclear. We're actually fine there. So I think we will deprioritize research for now, meaning that we can pause the Unity drain and the employment drain there. Of course, our ship can't even be repaired without steel. And there's our power. Because this is our little battery. Okay, so this was fun to play around with. I do not think we want to be using that right now because we only want that pipe to be outputting steam high, which we will have to flip once this is charged. I don't think we're going to use this back and forth the way that we were playing around with in the previous episode. It's too active of a system, and I'm not willing to do that. But we will keep it as a backup in case, for example, we have a run low on coal. I think this should be working. Hopefully. Yeah, no, still need to... Yep. Hopefully that's the last little surge, this bit at least. This is what happens when you put band-aids on systems and or run experiments in the middle of pretty significant changes in your base. So something to avoid, I think, in the future, or at least minimize. Or, as we are today, be willing to clean up afterwards. Okay. Power seems fixed. Got that sorted. And our trucks do seem to be catching their breath a little bit here. Okay, so what's the impact that's having over here on steel? It is working again. That's good news. I've also been thinking about this. We've been running this entire system on Unity for quite some time now, and I don't mind it. We have it. It's not a problem. But there's a rationale, now that we have some space over here, to add a little bit more capacity. This is where, especially given that we have, again, more graphite piling up, we might consider adding a bit of arc furnace 2s instead of more of these blast furnace 2s. So we would maintain the flexibility of surging here, but we would be adding more base capacity that's basically always going to be running at a certain rate. That concept, having some flexibility in the system, while also committing to a certain amount of base production, is the same general concept as how you allocate your auto balancing in your power plants. It's also going to come up again in nuclear next time, because nuclear, the long and short of it, is that you need to commit to running, at least in the early stages of nuclear technology, you need to commit to running a certain amount of it continuously. So keep that concept in mind, the strategic allocation of flexibility versus committing to a certain base load, when we talk about power in the next episode as well. I think we can set this train, actually, not to leave this station until this is empty, because there's no longer any other train that uses this station. And I don't want this little train getting in the way of our big train. So let's make that change real quick. These big trains are fun, but we should keep an eye on their impact on traffic. Good. So this is helping with our coal debt. We should be back on track to at least be paying it down. In fact, if we really wanted to, I suppose we could do so a bit more aggressively, but I'm going to wait until our steel stabilizes a bit more because, as we know, coal is a key input to that system. Yeah, I think in the name of getting things moving again, we'll probably pay this back pretty quickly. But I think we just need to grease the wheels here a little bit and make sure that we are able to get everything moving again, you know? Oh, and hey, look, we have a bunch of animal feed. That's great. We must have stabilized our animal feed production, and we must have tons of chickens and tons of eggs, right? Nope. They all starved. Whoops. So let's restart that production as well. Sorry, chickens. And in fact, let's make sure that that is a larger input. Hopefully the fact that it's charged up means that we'll grow a little bit more continuously there as well. I do feel a little bad for that, I suppose. One of the other things that I'm a little concerned about is plastic production, which is not a throughput issue, it is a naphtha supply issue, it seems. We're also not exactly overflowing on heavy oil either. So I actually think we're going to stop running byproduct up here. We certainly don't want to be running naphtha. And the amount of fuel gas that comes up here, of course, it's important to have, but I don't know that it justifies a train by itself. This is also a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a clogging up the train tracks in this area issue. And so I think what we're going to probably do, as I think more broadly about the future of this power plant, right, is stop supplying it with oil byproducts. I think we need to consume all of our oil byproducts over here. And if we need to rebalance, for example, heavy oil into naphtha, we'll do that. We might need to do that as I look at what we do and do not have. But yeah, so I think what we're going to do in the meanwhile then is tell this train that he is no longer needed. And we will remove that train line from our books. There we go. Done. I am going to, I suppose, yeah, it's easier to rebuild a train. I think I'm going to just see how this works for now. Before committing to deleting it. But I think we're going to do, spoiler alert, as part of our rearrangement, a bit here on the waterfront. So one thought that I have is that a wastewater treatment plant can handle 160 wastewater. And we're not there, but we're getting pretty close, right? And so what we will need to do then is either, well, we could buy time by boosting this and its downstream components, right? The anaerobic digester that takes the sludge, or we could build a slightly larger setup, i.e. add a second treatment plant. Of course, there's no room to do that here, but there would be, say, here. This area is adjacent to the settlement. We could also very easily rearrange the water pipes to go in there as well. And so I think we're probably going to do that. And there will be space for more anaerobic digesters there too. That will also free up this area of the waterfront if we were so inclined to use it, and I think we will be. As I sort of zoom out and think in the more medium term, we're going to transition slowly and over time, but we are going to transition towards incorporating more contracts as the basis of our economy. So eventually we're going to run out of mines, right? We've already talked about how this iron mine is a lovely thing to have, but it's not going to last forever. Frankly, it's already kind of half gone, isn't it? This one, decent size, certainly, but even further away. And the last one on the island? Is that true? I mean, I think it is, right? So we're going to have to source it from somewhere in the future. And there are no iron mines on the world map. We have to transition to a contract to supply iron in the longer run, period. Full stop. There are, however, pull reasons, beyond just the push reasons of you have to move to these. They can be pretty efficient compared to what it would take to supply these things yourself, even if you do have a ready supply. I've mentioned a few times we're going to go, as soon as we stabilize production, we're going to turn household appliances into wood. That will be how we provide wood. We might do something similar with household goods into coal. There's quite a few here that we'll probably make good use of in the future. I won't go into the details yet, but what that means is we're going to need a lot more waterfront for cargo ships to be delivering, because that's how contracts work. You load up some part of the cargo ship with your export product. It goes out into the world, generally, and then it comes back loaded up with as much of it as it can fit that you can pay for of the import product. And that means that waterfront is about to become a lot more valuable to us. It's part of why I've been prioritizing this space here, and part of why I want to work on our limestone mine. But it's another reason to maybe consider whether we should move around some of this stuff here, which has at least a similar rationale over here, where it's not competing for anything space-wise, but maybe even a better location rationale. So we'll probably do that. And there's going to be more to it, so I'm not going to build it yet. But what I will do is just sort of start blueprinting, I suppose, so that we know that it's there. That won't actually work there. It'll have to come out further because we are going to have to make one of these first, I suppose. So fine for planning purposes, but might as well actually make it reasonable. All right, once we move those pillars for these pipes, that will work. Great. Okay. How are our trucks doing? We have finally some idle vehicles, and as I look around, good. See, we're not even full on steel here, right? Even though we just took that big old loan. But we have finally gotten through the recyclables, so that's good news. And I feel a bit better about our production in general. Good. Okay, and this means we can now head on out here. I'm going to prioritize this location because I want to discover these settlements. These settlements will unlock contracts. In addition, we will probably want to unlock a couple mines. Maybe this is a moment to talk about sourcing uranium. I just talked about the trade-off of mining, and this is where our uranium source is here. We would have to bring it all the way across the map, or alternately, reasonably, build our power plant out here somewhere. Or we could bring it in via a cargo ship from the world mine, or eventually maybe a contract. But the point would be, that would be a bit more flexible location-wise, and or we wouldn't have to run a massive train line across the map. We might grab it eventually, but there's a world mine with uranium. There are also, in the longer run, contracts for uranium. So I think the simpler thing to do would probably be to source it via ship, at least. And so in order to do that, we'll need to repair this mine as well. So we'll set out to do that a little bit later on too. Ship is fully repaired. Let's go explore this settlement. Are we doing all right here making, in fact we are, some construction parts? Good. I would like over the course of this episode to upgrade a little bit further here, but I'm not going to stress our system, i.e. consume more steel, basically, until we've paid down that loan a little bit. How is that loan looking? You know, it's looking. Maybe we ought to add some steel capacity, huh? All right, let's take a peek at that. I think if we were to do this, it would be pretty straightforward, right? We would, and I don't know, where would we do this? Doesn't matter quite yet, let's just sketch it out. We could, basically, if we did 4 of these, we could stop boosting this entire system. And given that that requires 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 divided by 4, because these are each 0.25, 4 unity continuously to be boosting this. It's a decent investment, right? Each of these, as we know, 48, would absorb unboosted. 1 of these. So something like this. And then we would need, similarly, 1-to-1, these casters. And honestly, I don't know, maybe we'd line them up like that, who knows. But this is really not that big of a build, all things considered. Of course, we'll need some inputs. We would need another crusher. We would need more limestone, and we would need a water recycling loop, along with at least some exhaust absorption, right? In fact, that's a non-zero amount of exhaust absorption. I think we would probably have to give it its own scrubber. Yeah, because this 36, 72, 144 for these, 144 and 48 for these, right? I mean, that's almost a half exhaust scrubber capacity itself. So I think we have to do that. We have some slack in this capacity, but the whole point is to still be able to boost this when we want to. So I think we'll have to do it like this. All right, cool. So this has some contracts. This is the sulfur for coal contract that I was looking for, I don't know, 15 episodes ago when I was being precious about not wanting to waste our sulfur. Now we could at least get something for it. It's much later in the game now. It's not that big a deal. So be it. Another vehicle parts 2 contract as well, probably with a pretty decent ratio if I had to guess. Yep. Quartz is basically how you get sand from contracts, right? There is no sand contract, but you can simply grind quartz to make sand. We're okay on sand for now, but that'll be something to consider in the future as well. Okay. Yeah, I think this needs to happen. I'm going to go into a little bit of a time lapse. These are the buildings. There will need to be a water recycling component here, but ultimately, this should be pretty straightforward. You've certainly seen it before. You know what this looks like. It's just an arc furnace 2 version of it. This whole thing should feel very familiar. from last time, although that was, of course, copper. So, I'll see you in a moment. So it seems like we have a little bit of a coal throughput issue here, because we've got the coal, but it's not piling up down here enough for our supply trains to get it over here. So I think it's time to add another big train. This will almost certainly cause issues with our traffic, but there's nothing else to be done about it. I think we'll probably also want to increase the storage buffers that we have here, 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 and we already have it here. Okay. That should resolve, hopefully, all of that. But let's find out. Back to our little time lapse over here. Well, as I said at the beginning of the episode, there's nothing more vexing than the consequences of your own actions, and as I said, 15 minutes into the episode, this will probably cause us an issue when we stop burning byproducts. This is also an issue. All right. We're going to allow trucks to fill this. Not all the way, but enough to keep it running. Unfortunately, that's required. I am actually doing that not because that's a huge issue. I would simply build a boiler. I'm building that because this is now actually clearly backing up our ability to run the refinery and produce diesel, because we did not set an overflow system to crack excess heavy oil and turn it into naphtha, which is probably what we want to do more sustainably in the long run. But let's get steel sorted first. Back here again. We are borrowing more coal. It is what it is. We'll get through it. Too far. That's a bummer. I think what we might do is repair this coal mine. And if we need to use that to get us through, that's better than loans, right? We certainly have the unity and the people to run it, so let's get that going, right? Yep. Let's check back in on that in a moment. Coal mine is functional. Of course, we'll need to have something to bring it back. And by something, I mean a cargo ship. To me, this seems like the best spot to be delivering it. I'm kind of wondering if we can sneak a cargo dock in here somewhere. Let's play around with that for a moment. I mean, it doesn't need to be an enormous 8, I suppose. Which way is this facing? Like this, yeah. But we could move some of these pipes around. Not sure. Maybe we get a smaller one. That's a 2. This is a 4, 6, maybe a 4. I think we could probably fit that here without too much disruption. Now, am I forgetting about the size of the modules as well? Because we do have to build, yeah, these pieces. So these modules need to go here. Yeah, that's probably too much to ask at this point, I would say. No, I think we can fit it in here. It's for coal. It's gonna happen. I will build that out here real quick. So that's going to be our little complex. I don't really want to have it totally supplant our coal import here in general. So we've had it cut only to supply power, right? That's something we can adjust in the future, but I at least want to try that way. I just don't want to rely on a world mine, you know, for other stuff. This is an emergency thing. So let's see how it goes. I'm also pretty sure I don't really know where this exhaust pipe came from, so we're going to find out when something breaks exactly what that was. It's around here somewhere, I'm sure, but I don't even know which of these machines puts off exhaust. Like, I don't think it's anyone here. So maybe it was an unnecessary pipe. We'll find out. We should have a cargo ship come in here automatically, and that's great. And then we will want to also change the ship fuel, but we'll do that once it docks. And then we have heavy oil, which again, we're actually making too much of right now, right? That should fuel it, so that's great. So let's let that get going. And I do hope, oh, I only connected one of these modules. I do hope we're able to repay that loan quickly as well. But let's find out. Actually build it like this. Yeah, that's better. Okay, great. So let's let that run while we come back here and keep chipping away at this project. That'll work. Let's build it all. So, ore comes out here. That's a problem. We're gonna have to check on that. But when we have it, ore will come out of here, get crushed, little mini buffer, storage buffer here. Just for the sake of symmetry, I'm going to make it look more like that. Comes under a road here, which we will pave. And crushed ore comes up on this third level, is distributed out here accordingly. Similarly, we have limestone, comes up here. It's on the second level, one below. It comes all the way along here, is distributed out as necessary to our arc furnaces and down all the way to the end for our exhaust scrubber. Water, we extended here along our farming setup, ran it under some ramps. Water comes all the way along here. There's a steam-low recycling priority entrance here, and then it flows along all the way through here, arc furnaces, and again to the exhaust scrubber, just like limestone. It also has a nice little branch off here for our cooled casters. Last thing we need is graphite. We also produce it here because our exhaust scrubber spits out CO2. We prioritize the local production, graphite, and then bring in the rest supplementary here. We also have to get rid of slag and sulfur. We provide oxygen for the oxygen furnaces here. And we dump the extra nitrogen in a smokestack right away. Everything else is just pipe work. So there it is. Let's see what's going on with the trains, because I do think, yeah, we have an ore train problem here as well. Was he, tell me he was running full at least. Oh no. Why do we not have? What are you doing over there, folks? That ain't it. Yeah, we never, of course, we never manually prioritize these to search for iron ore. So we actually have an iron ore supply issue, but we have enough time, I think, to catch up to it. Of course, we will need to give them a mining designation with some ore in it. So let's also do that. So we'll tell them to do that. We'll see when they reach a level. We're gonna have to check back in quickly, but we'll see when they reach a level where they're not getting any more iron so that we don't do too much rock digging unnecessarily. I'm looking at our truck network. Can we start helping mine? I think we can. Let's just start with 10. Because I would like to get through the rest of this. We are not bringing much in the way of heavy oil. That's probably because we're now running, yep, another ship who has a bit of a buffer here. Good. It's a better use. But the question is, are we actually producing sufficient steam here anymore? And I don't think that we are. Because this is basically no longer running. Period. Full stop. Right? Now, what we could do is say that actually this is now a fuel gas burning boiler, but I don't think we want to do that. I think we just want to build a second coal boiler. I wonder, can we replace? No, we cannot. All right, well, that's fine, but we are going to delete that, replace it with a coal boiler, and I think simplify this entire area. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and commit to this. We no longer this train station. This has been fine to supply by truck. It's pretty low volume requirement, right? Certainly we make a lot of trash, but each one only burns 6. So I'm wondering, in fact it does, right? It fits. Suppose no need to rebuild the crossing, although it's now longer than it needs to be, of course. We doing all right over here? Seems like it. Are you receiving everything you need? In fact, are running quite smoothly. This entire thing is finally running at 100%. Beautiful. Okay, which just means that everything else out here is all messed up. This would fix itself if we could prioritize the power. Let's just get it here. I don't know what other machine this is going to come at the expense of, but it shouldn't matter because it won't last all that long anyway. Speed this up, watch the coal run. This should hit our burners here, boilers, which should get steam going, which should get all of these going. In fact, temporarily, let's just speed this whole thing up. Slowly but surely, these fellows are spinning up. And this seems to finally be working, for example, so that's good. We're already making some slag, which means we must have made some steel. Oh, and good. This is still alive, at least. How's our ore production up here? Still going. This is full. Similarly, we'll probably want to upgrade that buffer. And why not both of these? How is our construction parts level, generally? We need some more 3s for sure. But of course, that's steel. I think we probably, yeah, we need to stop prioritizing 4s. Good. How's our loan situation generally? Did we at least pay down? Yeah, a decent amount of the coal. I mean, I say that like it's not more than it was at the beginning. It absolutely is. Is this train out finally? No. We have the coal. Maybe we should just manually pay this back and be done with it, yeah? This is just about paying down steel now. So good, we're on the way there. We're not there yet, but we are on the way there. All right, pave. What is this for, anyways? Oh, this was just to fill in that old mine, which means we can delete it. Nice. Good stuff. How is this production going? What are you missing? PCB because... Ah, plastic. Yeah, so... we still short on naphtha. All right. This is now officially going to have to get sorted. Okay. So we don't make enough plastic because we don't make enough naphtha. 2 ways we could go about doing this. We could supplement with ethanol. It's possible. We make some over here. It just takes corn. That said, we don't exactly have an abundance of corn. A better way to solve this, though, is to make more naphtha by cracking our excess heavy oil, like we do with excess fuel gas, into diesel and hydrogen. It sounds like more complexity, but it's actually pretty straightforward. We already ran this heavy oil pipe out here, and it'll allow us to simplify a bit too, since it puts the nail in the coffin of exporting byproducts by train. So let's start by cleaning this stationary up. Okay, so the heavy oil to naphtha cracking recipe is here. It will consume hydrogen, but we make that in our cracking zone already. We could also make naphtha from diesel, but I don't really want to consume more diesel. Plus it requires steam, so probably not going to use that right now. These machines are running a decent amount, so I don't think we want to reuse them, even though it's going to be basically the same pair of machines that we're going to make. I think we're going to do something similar here, right? Roughly speaking. But we'll take some of the hydrogen. We'll, prioritize export availability, but we will turn this into naphtha. So let's say over here, any excess once this has been, once our ship fuel component is sorted, we'll overflow that here. Add a little bit of hydrogen. Probably have to run the fuel gas back into these crackers, really, but just sort of send it back over here to this balancer that's already there. And then figure out where exactly we want to route that naphtha. Probably just back to this naphtha production point, really. So I think I'm going to jump into a little bit of a time lapse and do all of that pipe work. See you in a sec. I think that's it. Let's see if that helps. Oh, it's not it at all. I need to add this. Now that's it. All right, well, hopefully that helps with plastic supply. Let's keep an eye on it. All right, so that's naphtha, hopefully, sorted. The bauxite quarry has been discovered. Good, good. I assume we are still repairing the ship here. We are, because steel is still... Well, it could be better. And that is an issue. We don't have... the iron ore. Did our coal train ever come out? Still no. Still steel. This should be enough iron ore now. So let's just troubleshoot, follow this train. If he fills all the way, and it's just not enough, I think we'll have to add a second ore train as well. But let's see how this goes. I mean, a quick fix too, right, is to allow the one-time truck network transfer of this buffer, which I would be willing to do just to fix things here. Because I think, and this is a good thing to see, this is in fact working properly. Like, that's not the issue. Good. And our mining throughput is sufficient, right? Good, we still got some more depth to go here. All right. One time, and one time only, we allow this buffer, which we will also... No, we will not, because we still don't even have the construction parts 3. Well, still, we are going to allow this buffer to be filled. This should spike our power consumption for sure. But that is what it is. Let's get this buffer built back up too. I am breaking the speed 1 rule. This is just a troubleshooting thing. We have to get through this. This will take time. But we can do more paving. You know, I look at this. This can become a mixer 2, which would allow us to delete this, I think. Let's just pause it for now, but I think we can do that. The mixer 2 has the throughput of 2 mixer 1s. So that would help us simplify this area a little bit. Uh-oh. Oh, we're not producing enough hydrogen. We might just make this a loop. Priority to what's being produced, but if we have to, I still want to be able to use this, right? I think that's important. Oh, CO2, that's what it was. That's what it was. Remember we broke this pipe over here? It wasn't exhaust, it was CO2. Still make sure that we can get trucks back there. But yes, hopefully that's helpful. How are we doing, steel? This seems caught up. These are all operating, as best I can tell, at full speed, which is very good, and means we're chipping away at the steel. I think we can stop boosting that. Everything's working smoothly over here too, though. Seems to be. Seems to be the case. And we can probably do a bit more paving. I think this whole area back here just looks a little sad with all this trash still poking through, you know? Ah, what the heck. We have all of the cement in the world. Let's just do this. Let's see how mad that makes our trucks. Ooh, our computational capacity is rough. That's very spiky. I wonder if all of the... Yeah, electronics 2 just turned on. I think we can. Can we? We'll find out. I think we can build one more of these. How is plastic? Catching up a little bit. That's good. So, hey, look, naphtha. Look at that. Wow. Suddenly, we have naphtha. So, it seems like this is working. Well, when it has power, at least. Good. Okay, that's very good to see. This helped, but didn't perfectly solve it. Let's do one more. Living on the edge here. I think we have to add more power. Has to happen. Cleanest place is probably to do it out here. Bet we can just copy paste. Should we just extend these turbines? That's probably the right answer, right? Okay. This is why we needed to be working on a uranium power plant this entire time, unfortunately. But that is life. What can you do? All right. So the uranium mine is working. And fortunately, I think we'll be able to start bringing some of that in, which is great. I'm going to adjust this mining designation to focus over here. Okay, it is finally time to do something about this animal feed alert. Alright, hopefully that's that fixed. I am tired of that alert. And the uranium mine is repaired. Let's go. Alright. We are going to unpause it. I would like to accumulate some product storage, and we will eventually bring in some of it as a stockpile. High supply of graphite, which means we need another one of these. Kick the can down the road. Hey, some loot. Nice. Ooh, do you think we could take 2 consecutive battles? We're already damaged. This is like on our way home. Wow. I don't know. Yeah. Kind of clapped them. And we got sugarcane seeds. That was a pretty solid trip. Let's go visit what I think might be another settlement. Looking over here, the naphtha is sufficient, but the plastic is not yet fully recovered. We might want to build a little bit more of this. So I think we're going to do that. I think what I'm going to do, actually, is remove those, put them over here along with, let's say, some trucks. Why am I doing this? Why am I prioritizing getting this limestone out of the ground? Well, I told you I am looking to use more waterfront for cargo ships. I also told you that we'll probably bring our uranium in. Pause it now that it's full via cargo ship. I'm kind of thinking it'll make sense to put the nuclear power plant in this area. I won't go into the recipe too much. I want to save that all for next time. But suffice to say, I think it makes sense as a coastal setup generally, and doubly so if that's how we're bringing in our uranium. So I want to make sure that we're clear of the limestone deposit. Doesn't mean we have to get every little bit. I just want to make sure that this area up front is sorted out. This little patch is going to bother me, so of course, what are we going to do about that? We are going to make a tiny little indent here. That'll probably cause us more trouble than it's worth. Now, I think we're actually kind of at the edge of what we can take battles-wise on the map right now as well, which is fine because repairing takes steel. And maybe we will tackle the wastewater treatment relocation. So as a reminder, right, for every one of these we have, we're going to need 2 of these. So we'll have all of this. I think we will also relocate our trash plant. My thought is it takes fuel gas And we're going to be generating it with these digesters anyway. And the trash is right here. And instead of however many truckloads we are sending of trash, right? And you can see it really piles up fast given how many population we have at this point. We could just have it roll right into an incinerator. So I think I'm going to try to set all of that up here in one nice, tidy little space. So I'll be right back. And here it is. I skipped the time lapse on this one, but we'll walk through the build as we construct it. We'll be building it in stages anyway, as this will be a delicate transition off of our existing facility. The first thing I'll do is just quickly build our roadways here so that we can maintain flow of traffic through the area. So, starting with our new locations for water and for trash. Trash is simplest. Trash outputs here directly into an incinerator. This incinerator can handle 144. We are currently generating about 2/3 of that, which means that even when we boost this, right, if we'd like to, we could get that to 288, we're going to be covered for quite some time, right? We can handle up to probably about 10K with just this one incineration plant. So that should be quite nice. It also requires water and fuel gas. So let's talk about the water main. It comes off of here and flows through, dropping off a little bit here at the incineration plant, but then continuing on to supply the water for our settlement here. This will be deleted. We'll do some cleanup over here once we've made this transition. Okay. The other thing it requires is fuel gas. Well, we get that by processing the wastewater. Let's trace that. The wastewater comes out through here along one of these pipes, goes in here and here. It is mixed with some chlorine, which I think we're going to do by truck for now. I just don't feel like running that pipe all the way across. We may add it later. I'm not going to commit to it yet. We're going to figure that out as we go. But it receives chlorine, which is prioritized to go to the wastewater treatment plants over the plastic, which has caught up, by the way, at this point. The naphtha is doing well. And it also receives filter media, which we're making here now in a larger mixer than we were over there. I'm doing this with an export because we're going to end up using that in the nuclear process, so why not build it today as well? I'm sneaking in a few of those prep items here and there, yeah? This will spit out water and sludge. Sludge, well, water is simplest. We simply route it back here, and we prioritize it over the water main's input for recycling to the settlement. Sludge then goes on this belt and is processed in these anaerobic digesters, just as they were over here. We export the compost. It will go over to our organic fertilizer setup or simply be dumped if there's not anything over there. The fuel gas goes here. The fuel gas will also then supply the incineration plant. Okay. Now I think we will make more fuel gas than the incineration plant takes. So we're going to make sure that we say, hey, don't let this get full, otherwise this will all back up. So let's build it all. Starting with the filter media setup. Its prioritized output there will be, of course, to the wastewater treatment plants, and any overflow gets exported. I suppose we should build the plants themselves. why not grab their various inputs and outputs too? So let's just get, oops, not you, plastic plant, the rest of this up and running. And once it is up and running, it will be capable of receiving the wastewater, which is required before we build this. Even if we leave this up, it'll generate wastewater over here, and that will get backed up. We can't say, well, even though we have all the capacity we want, we can't direct it to prioritize only over here. So we'll keep this all on while that's being built. The other thing I'm going to do is I think we actually have some random, yeah, we do. We have some random chlorine in here. So I'm going to allow that to get exported just to make some room in the shipyard. Do have a few rogue bits here and there. And it is clogging up our ability to drop off the much more valuable stuff. So let's make a little bit of room. All right, and then the outputs, right, from the incineration plant. We've rerouted the exhaust. Oh, what is this? This was a chlorine pipe. Good. Glad we did that. Good. Really, what it came down to, I already had 3 spots here, and I didn't want this to be any bigger. That's sometimes the rationale here, right? But it's not super high volume, to be clear. Here we use 8 at a time. Over here, we're gonna use 16. Like it's doable over a short distance. And I may yet want to redo some of this area as well, because we're going to clear this out, right? Regain some waterfront. And this stuff is on the edge here. If we need to squeeze a little bit more space out of this, whatever we end up using it here, we might end up moving where we do chlorine anyways. So we'll let this all build. And maybe we'll do a little bit of paving to fill in the time. Okay. Yeah, great. So this looks great. This is full. The issue is our iron train. I'm wondering just how necessary this second coal train is. I think the reason we had them both running is because we required this. But I think that means we can pause this and the coal mine itself, which is good. So that's good, but let's maybe make another iron ore train as well, because that seems to have certainly done it on the coal front. Can we really afford another 1K steel? 320 vehicle parts. I don't know, can we justify that? I mean, can we justify not doing it? It's currently killing our steel. There's an argument to just repurpose the one coal train even. Maybe we move it over. I suppose we'll have to empty the train cars. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna scrap it. Immediately recover. And then bam. So we have put 2 of our mega trains on iron and 1 on coal. Let's see how that adjusts things. Not that expensive to switch quickly. Okay, How is this all going? It looks to me like we have capacity here. So, oh, is this is exhaust. We need to get this built first because that's clogging up even plastic production right now. And then let's get the water main built. And that's fuel gas. I mean, why not build it, I suppose? Frankly, this looks rather silly, actually. I normally try to, where I can, run pipes along top of belts, but I feel like in this case, that actually genuinely looks better. So be it. All right. So once that's all built, then I think we press build here, pause here, and then we can clear all of that out. It seems like we've built everything we need to over here. So let's do this. Let's make this transition. We won't break everything over here just yet. We want to make sure that this is functional before we take that offline. But in the meanwhile, we've got a whole pile of filter media building up, which is great news for our nuclear ambitions. And this seems fine so far. We do need to boost the priority on this, though, because it will be required to process our waste. All right. Oh, water main didn't get finished. Steel, naturally. This should very quickly supply all the water we need. And it seems like the wastewater is in fact making its way out here. Good. Pause this. Certainly we can delete this. So let's do that. Good. All right, it seems like we're in good shape here. I want to get a little bit of fuel gas built up here so that we can run this properly before we make that transition. But that will also simplify our work out here, right? We won't actually need fuel gas out here anymore. So that'll reduce some trips, as will obviously the fact that waste will be delivered by conveyor belt. This looks like a spot that could use some paving. We wanted this to be an access road anyway. This has run smoothly for a while. Obviously it's taking power again, but we seem to be able to provide it. So we'll certainly take that. Could really use a big ol' ore train delivery. Yeah. Oh wow, okay, so this will be a good test of our throughput. Can we handle back-to-back massive ore trains? I mean, it looks like we maybe can. I don't want to jinx it, but this is the last quarter of this train. It's down to the studs here, but there's a little bit of a buffer in each of these stations. Beautiful. Okay. Good. So we should be able to watch them deliver here, and hopefully from here on out we're caught up. Let's see. Yeah, we still have plenty of concrete. This is really just about our truck network's ability to deliver all of that. I'm not in a rush about it, though. Man, yeah, I mean, trains are working, but we are definitely going through it. All right, so I mean, I think it's good that we have 2 of these on iron. Is going down to 1 causing any trouble on coal? I mean, I don't think so. So that's good. I think that feels like the right ratio then. Wow, this is cool. I just realized we finally finished paving the entirety of the refinery. That looks nice. Right, so what have we done? We have kind of thrown off the balance of our refinery by no longer burning any byproducts. We solved that on the heavy oil front by cracking excess heavy oil into naphtha, but now that we're caught up on plastic, we've just shifted from having excess heavy oil to having excess naphtha. So maybe we need to rebalance a bit and crack into diesel instead. The other output is still fuel gas, right? So no worries. We can always play around with these pipes if things change. I will say the one thing that's probably not totally representative right now is since we're full here, we're not consuming anything in the way of plastic, right? So something to keep in mind. We're also not... It's interesting. Do we maybe want to send overflow poly here so we can use it for something else? Potentially. Potentially. I think I'm going to do that real quick. Why would I do this? We can use poly, well, to make solar cells, I guess, if we really want it, but also to make silicon wafers, which are the beginning of the microchip production chain that we'll hopefully get into in the next couple of episodes. But that's what's required to make electronics 3, unless you want to go around the map and get them that way. Which is not a sustainable way to do that, to be clear. We actually have chickens. We could enable slaughtering and provide meat as well. Let's do that real quick, right? Build all that. Enable slaughtering. You can then decide at what point you want to turn things into meat. In order to maximize egg production, I'm just going to leave it at the very top there so it's only overflow, so to speak. And of course, we'll also need a meat market. All right, come back and check on that in a little bit. So I think it's time, officially, to move on from this facility. This will reclaim a good amount of space here. And allow us to rethink this area a little bit too. Then we're suddenly going to have some like pretty prime real estate available. That looks like enough fuel gas, I think, that we can build our trash plant too. I kind of think we need to make like a dumping station over here that we could run pretty much directly from here. Or we could continue to use our transshipment hub. It's a little indirect, but it's less rework. Either way, the point would be to build a train station out here. So we would call this Eastern Dumping Zone. And this would also allow us, once this is finished, to clear all of this space out. Oh yeah, we actually don't need this. So we start. Think we can build all of this? I don't think we have the tracks. Yeah, we definitely don't. That's okay. Do what we can, build the rest. And the other thing we can do that'll help us get some parts back is to clear this, this, and this. And then we have a new train line to make. Or in fact, I think we can just adjust this one, right? So, well, clear these out. Say, pick up here, drop off here. The last thing we need to do is make a train. Cool. And we have all the stuff we need here for it, so we're gonna do our normal 1/8 for this. Or should we make a big one? I don't know, we don't have the cars lying around, and we're just now starting to make progress on steel. So, hate to say it, but I think that is sadly the right way to handle that. All right, this is coming along, hopefully, maybe. Guess we'll have to crank this now that we've built this. It'll start to collect here, otherwise. I don't know if we're going to be able to do anything with this space here extra, but it's nice, I suppose. The other question we could, right, think about doing something with the biomass. Maybe move it over to this facility. Not sure. We also have not allowed, made room for export there, so we're gonna have to live with that. That should be okay. All right, but I think that should help. This is an investment in the truck network. Good. Should make this whole thing hopefully a bit simpler. Let's make sure that we still have valid dumping zones for everyone. We'll make our way out this way. This is really coming along. Oh, you'd love to see that. This is probably enough waterfront space once we fill it in for a nuclear power plant. Exciting. Maybe we should actually blueprint this. Cargo. I think that's probably right. Can we do another one over here without interrupting our... We cannot. I think we're probably going to need to move this again. Whoa, hang on. Ah, that's not so bad, I guess. We're getting there on steel. Bunch of concrete, though. Where should we pave next? And let's tidy up this water main situation. I'm not sure exactly what we'll use this spot for. It's probably too close to our shipyard to use it for a cargo dock or anything. Do wish we could upgrade this in place. It's not that we really need it, right? This is totally a backup to, oh my gosh, how is our oil patch doing? It's been forever since I've checked. Okay, we're fine. But it's half gone. That's good. I mean, it's good to know. I don't know if it's good that it's half gone. All right, this is officially a problem. What is going on here? Too much naphtha. So... this is going to need to also change recipes, I guess. Going to leave most of this pipe here so that we can very easily return to that if we need to. But very clearly, we need to be prioritizing diesel. We even need to boost this. All right, there we go. This will be helpful. Oh my gosh, it's done. We have paid back our steel loan. All of it. We've paid back all of our steel, all of our coal. Our trade reputation has certainly taken a hit, but that's what it's there for. We used it. Good. I think I'd like to get this sorted. So I'm going to delete and rebuild this, maybe play around a little bit with the piping here. Be right back. Are you kidding me? There's one square. Do you see that red right there? There's one square that is preventing me from building here. And there's no way to dredge unless it's already built. Like, is this the move? I think this works. It's really just that. Okay. The liquid dump goes, as does presumably pipe, just to be safe. I mean, this doesn't work though, because we don't have space for the modules. This is where they all have to be built. Okay, that's life. What do we do about it? We could. What's most important? Do we need it to be huge? And if so, are we willing to rearrange some of our water work over here? Or would we just take the occasion to evaluate our placement and keep the same throughput? Although there's really not much that we can do to change that because this is module space. I think we just go over here and move the salt production. Okay, I'm gonna dive in and do that. Well, all right, this turned into a whole can of worms, but once I stopped complaining and saw this as an opportunity to redo this area, I actually feel like this is a much better use of the space now. Glad we got to sort of redo this area at the same time. So, essentially, we're gonna let this all run. This is much more oil now, and we will be able to bring the same heavy oil fuel over, and we now have a 50% increase in the, use this one here, 50% increase in the desalination capacity of our little setup here, which is very good given our increased water draw across the base over the course of this episode. And I also feel pretty good about cleaning up all the spaghetti wires that had piled up over the various sessions. So that's good too. That's good too. It's a lot better organized. It maintains all the same logic as we previously had. We still prioritize steam, particularly from the incineration plant, although we are going to have to make sure that yeah, that his exhaust is handled. Oops, I should tidy this up real quick. Give me 2 seconds. All right, so steam, as we said, comes from, at top priority, the incineration plant, and then interacts with steam from these boilers, the second of which I have built, since technically one of these can only handle 4. I don't think the second one will fire very often, but it should be connected. Speaking of things that should be connected, how about the coal input? We also technically ought to run backup steam over here, but this is kind of working just fine, except for the exhaust. Once we get that sorted here, yeah, okay. So let's get him over to here, I guess. Maybe we bring him up to this height first, and connect. Yeah, I think that's right. So there's that. This should be running now. Sorry, and then let's finish tracing the steam, right? So steam comes out here. We're gonna ignore this for now. We'll delete it when we're convinced it doesn't matter anymore. And steam comes over here and powers the water. Preferentially, however, we take the steam low output from the exhaust scrubber, which is this pipe. Let's build that real quick, along with this. That water and salt water come out here. Water's underneath, runs directly into this pipe, and we go wild into the water main. There is some that goes to the exhaust scrubber as well, of course. What else happens here? Well, we built, and actually, you know what, I'm gonna pause 2 of these at least. We built a little bit more capacity on electrolyzers. I told you again that there's a jump to electrolyzer 2 coming soon, and it is a pretty significant one for whatever that is worth. And then we send our salt water out here to some salt flats. We may reclaim the space. It's not super efficient, but we're using it here for now. Why not? And some water dumps as a backup. Woo! Okay. That's all the things. Let's let them build real quick. But yeah, so this is the system. Revamped. This is a much larger oil ship. Fewer trips to collect the same oil, which is good. This has whet my appetite to redo a lot of this area too, but I think we're gonna leave it for now. Well, and in the meanwhile, steel is certainly recharged. We might even, given the trouble we've had in the past, let ourselves build up an even better buffer. And would you look at that? 1,200 construction parts 4 and counting. All right, very good. So I think we're gonna leave it here for today. We didn't get everything perfect. You never do in this game. Nothing is ever, there's always something going on, right? You let it play to catch up and something else happens. But I think we're in a pretty good place to build nuclear next time. So we'll probably start by filling in while we talk through the setup, but I think that timing should work just fine. This is all the space we're going to need. We have sourced our uranium from the world map. It is here. Our truck network is, it's living. It's alive. We're surviving. And once we're on the other side of some terraforming projects here, which, wow, yeah, good timing. I think we very nearly officially are. Let's do this and this just to get the last little bits. I'm not bothering with that. And then we'll start filling all of this in as well. So great work. Quite a long one. I'm sure I'll end up speeding up or cutting a decent amount filler here, but this is the sort of episode that we needed to put in. This was a very good, as I look at all the things we did, a very good catch up and even get a little bit ahead episode. So stay tuned next time for nuclear. We're gonna have some fun with that. It's a very satisfying thing to have up and running. It is going to make power issues a thing of the past. It is going to reduce our coal consumption. And yeah, it's also just kind of fun to have a nuclear power plant going on. So that'll be a fun build. I enjoyed myself today. I hope you did too. If you did, be sure to stop back in again next time for sure. It'll be a pretty good one. I'm excited. Hopefully you are as well. But until then, have a good rest of your day and bye-bye.